A year ago at this time, were you thinking, I'll never make it to the NBA Finals?
A year ago at this time, I was on vacation, thinking about what I need to do to better my basketball career. I wasn't even thinking about the playoffs. I wasn't thinking about the finals. Just thinking about bettering my basketball career, what I got to do for myself. That's pretty much it.
Had you remained confident that eventually you would get there, or were you, with the way Minnesota was headed, were you thinking that might not happen?
No, I just knew I needed to change. And as conversations deepened, with the organization at the time, I knew that they wanted to change. So just trying to mentally prepare myself for what was about to happen and where it was going to be, trying to figure it out.
Mark
Spears, Boston Globe. Kevin, you talk about the rest that you guys have had and how much has that helped you after those 3 long series? And what kind of is your excitement of being here?
Rest is always good. You're always, I've never been the one to be against rest. But we've had, some really, really hard practices, but it's been good, to keep the rhythm and everything, keep the intensity there. For the most part, I think everybody's excited to be here. I'm no different from that. Trying to enjoy as much as possible, but at the same time knowing that what I'm doing here and the reason I'm here.
The center?
Kevin, John Nadell with the Associated Press. Can you talk about going against Powell and going against Lamar and the Lakers in general, what their defense, how their defense is going to challenge you?
Powell's probably one of the most underrated, big men in the league. Can definitely score from a different range of spots on the floor. I think he's definitely taking the Lakers from one level of a team to the next level. I think he's definitely the outlet in which Kobe looks for a lot. Defensively, I think he's better than what most people give him credit for. I thought he did a really, really good job on Tim Duncan in that series. Lamar is probably one of the most versatile forwards we have in this league. Could definitely play, 5 positions. Very difficult to guard. When you have a player that controls the ball and has the ball a lot, it reminds you a lot of Scottie Pippen. He's real active, and those 3 have seemed to figure it out and make it work. When they win big, it's because those 3 have, along with some of the guys on that bench, have had a huge game. So it's not going to be an easy task. It's what it is, though.
How about Lamar defensively?
I think, in my past in playing Lamar, we've always had head-to-head battles. They've always been, intense. I don't see this being anything less than that.
On the right?
Kevin, I know the excitement level is going to be very high tomorrow night. How do you fight the adrenaline rush at the beginning, and what do you do not to get too high?
You don't. One of the things I'm trying to figure out is like, I think just in my experience with the guard, man, is to just, it's about like my first game when we played Washington here. I hit Jerry West, my first shot. And I've learned since then not to fight, to just let it sort of ooze its way out and play. I don't anticipate fighting anything come tomorrow night. I'm going to just let it flow. Try to center myself as best as I can, but at the same time, let the adrenaline, let it run, and try not to get too tired too soon. But Doc has something for that. It's called "Come Sit Next to Me." So believe me, if I get too tired off adrenaline, I'm sure he'll sit me. But I'm not worried about that. This is the time to let all that out.
Steve, on this side?
Steve Bulpett, Boston Herald. Kevin, do the really great players need to have a championship win to validate themselves? And how special is it to be going for it for you with Paul and Ray? This guy.
I think it helps. Any player who's been above average, if not excellent in this league, it helps to have a championship on your resume. Definitely doesn't hurt. And to be Paul and Ray in this situation, and 3 of us sort of having the same situation a year ago from today is very special. It's definitely been a journey. Obviously, the journey's not over, but it's really special, and I'm more than honored to be with those guys right now.
Kevin Howard back from the New York Times. On the heels of that, what has this season taught you about finding the right combination and finding the right teammates to kind of help you carry the load? Obviously, all three of you guys having done it individually for so long.
It's about what you're able to sacrifice, man. You know, I think the reason the three of us work is because we actually don't just talk to you guys about sacrificing, but it's something that we actually exercise. It's a way of life. It's what we're doing. It's what we've been doing. Not to say that we don't debate, because we do, and we debate really strongly. But for the most part, we put the team above everything, and the wins above everything, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And the best player on the other team has won 3 titles, and he's been in a 4th final. The 3 of you guys haven't even been in a finals before.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it's going to affect things, at least in that game 1, that you haven't been there before? What effect do you think that's going to have?
I haven't even really thought about it. Obviously, Kobe and D-Fish has they have their experience, but at the end of the day, it's basketball, and you play it. You play it the way you know. You bring what you bring. You play it with your heart and soul, and you play it together. You play it as a team, and whatever the game plan is, you go out and try to execute that. But the finals are what it's all about. Obviously, experience, knowing from a final standpoint, they know all that. But basketball is the same. You know, you take a foul here, you know when not to take a foul. You know when 2-for-1 situations. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basketball. But I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be about knowing what they want to do and taking that away from them and making them go to, versus A, go to B and C options, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, it's basketball.
You've talked about each level of the playoffs being a little different than
Yeah.
the one before. What have people told you about what's different about the finals?
You know, I have a lot of conversation with Sam, and not just during this time, but, over the course of the years that we've known each other. And, one of the things he's always said is that, teams are going to make runs, and you have to always understand that at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's basketball. You get the ball to your best players, and you try to make plays. But the minute that you separate, the minute that you sort of seen the first line of losing, and he speaks a lot about his Houston days, and in that, he've always spoke about how that team stuck together and how one or two guys end up who you didn't really think was going to be of substance came of substance of that, and confidence is big at this time of the year. And he just speaks on how we need to all stay together, and that's pretty much it, man. Obviously he goes into a little more detail, but
Last question
nothing
on
that's
that.
over the top.
Bill Bird of the Eagle Tribune. Kevin, when this team was put together, obviously the pieces were in place, the big three, and there was a lot of talk, but there was a question mark, and one of it was at point guard. You had a kid that basically had played 1 year, wasn't a starter for most of it, and I'm sure Danny and Doc and Paul told you about Rondo. Can you talk about from day one when you first met this kid and what's happened since and what he's turned into here, basically up to the finals?
To be honest with you, I really didn't know too much about Rondo before me getting here. I know about Sebastian. I knew about D. West, just from playing and all that. I didn't really know too much. I knew he was scrappy. I watched him in college a couple times. Was aware of his name and all that, but really couldn't, go into detail about this game and that game. So a lot of, my perception was just first off when I came into the gym and we all grouped up and hooped that first day. Later on, I asked one of the film guys to give me some film on him just to see, his tendencies. And then I had a conversation with him just to see how he thinks. I asked him certain questions just about, just anything, just random stuff, just to see his reaction on a lot of stuff. And then as I watched him work, you grow to love Rondo just because of his work ethic and his consistency and what he does every day. Like any young guy, it can be a pain in the ass just like anybody else, But what you love about it is that he continues to work. And I don't think with this type of team you get the respect like we respect them if you don't have a bit of asshole in you. You know, I love the fact that one A to Z, he'll tell guys where they're supposed to be at, when they're supposed to be there, because he knows at the end of the day, Doc's going to get on his behind if we're not in our spots. And I think that's the turnaround. He's grew up over a season, but at the same time, he's gained respect from guys who's been in this league a long time. And sometimes, as a young guy, that's